All right. In the meantime, I will introduce myself. My name is Sarah. I'm head of social media marketing partnerships here at Ezoic. This is our Ezoic education webinar series. If you've been attending some of our Ezoic education episodes in the past, thanks for coming back. I'm really excited today because I'm joined by a very special guest. Website investing coach and founder of buyingonlinebusinesses.com is Jaryd Krause. So welcome, Jaryd.
Hey, thanks, Sarah. It's great to be here. When Sarah reached out to me, everybody, I was pretty excited to share and do a webinar. I haven't done a webinar actually, I got asked this question yesterday, and I haven't done a webinar in years, like literally
Really?
years. Yeah. So I'm pretty excited to just share my screen with everybody and answer questions and just give you guys as much as I can. So yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Okay, so before we do get started, I do want to add, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, you can drop them in the chat or in the Q&A. I'll be monitoring both so I can bring them to Jaryd's attention, or we can just answer questions at the end and do a little bit of both. So I think we're ready to just get started. My first question for you, Jaryd, is just how did you get started investing in websites?
Good question. I was a plumber and I hated life. I was working big hours. I was working like 60, 70-hour weeks and driving to and from work, spending about an hour and a half each way to and from work. So it took a toll on my body and my sleep and my health. And also because I hated doing that, I resorted to drinking, and I just realized that I needed something better. So what I always did was I quit work, saved up a bunch of money, quit work, and I'd run away and travel. And I did this for many years, trips from 6 months to 18 months. And on one of my trips, I was away for about a year, and I realized I can't keep doing this. I need to work out a goal. And this is around about the time that I started learning about the 4-hour work week. And I realized, wow, like I need to get online. And I literally typed into Google how to travel the world and make money online. And what popped up was people that were travel blogging. And I thought, all right, cool, travel blogger. I'm going to become a travel blogger. So I put my hand up for that and started a travel blogging website. And then I made a bit of money over about a year and a half. And I realized that this wasn't going to allow me to sustain the life that I wanted, which was travel the world and make money online. So I needed to start my own website business, which I did. I started a dropshipping website and I made a little bit of money, but I didn't know much about digital marketing. So I needed to learn digital marketing. And what I realized is, as I was struggling through this whole startup period, which most people do, I came across a stat that 90% of all startups fail. And I thought to myself, well, stuff this, I'm going to go away and see if I can buy something that's past that 90% failure rate. So I just jumped on Google and looked at different places I could buy websites. And now just the market has grown. There's different website brokers you could buy sites from. And that's what got me started. I bought one site, and I was plumbing at the time at home. And I bought another site. And from these two sites, I was making more from my online businesses than I was from my plumbing gig. So I gave that away, went traveled, bought another site, and I kept going and growing. And that's what led me to buying websites, because it was just so hard to start a website business, especially now, like everybody's jumping online. It gets harder and harder. So that's why that's how I got into this game.
So that being said, I mean, you just said it's getting harder and harder. How do you determine whether a website is worth buying for people who maybe want to skip that, building website phase?
Really, you do need to learn about how websites work and understand not just the monetization strategy, but how they get traffic into the site as well. And not just like the customer support and all that sort of stuff, but how the site as a whole works. And what I do is I teach people who join my community how to do due diligence. So I have a big, massive course that people go away and study, and then they fill out, a bit of a due diligence framework that I give them, which helps them has a bunch of questions that shares with them information about the business, which builds a bit of a picture for them to see whether it's leaning towards more of a good business versus a bad business. Yeah.
Amazing. So what tools and services do you use to assist you with the website buying process?
So there's many tools. How about what I do is I share with my screen with you guys and show you what that framework is, because it's got tools that that I refer people to use, my clients. And then there's also paid tools, free tools. And I can share with everybody like how that actually works. How does that sound?
Yeah.
So before I do, I guess I should probably talk about I don't know how interactive you want to make this, but does everybody know what different types of website monetization strategies there are, or like business models? If everybody wants to
We
ask
could take it to
or
the
answer
chat.
that. Yeah. So does everybody know all the different, because I just want to know who I'm talking to and
Mm-hmm.
how much to give. Because if you guys don't know what the business models are, the main business models, I think explain how those business models work
Mm-hmm.
before we get into the due diligence. So that's a part of what I teach is I teach people who don't know anything about the online space or how to make money. And they're just coming to it with fresh eyes, and they need to learn the different business models and which suits them first, and working out what their goals and guidelines are before they go away and look at businesses to do due diligence on. Because sometimes people will go away and start looking at businesses and they're not even the right businesses for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're wasting their time doing due diligence. So Helen's pretty into it here. She's got affiliate ads, products, services, courses. Cool. So I guess there's kind of three main ones, and everybody else that's on the chat, feel free to reach out as well and just drop in where you're at in your online business journey. But I guess I'll explain three main business models. So we've got content sites. So content websites are what you guys do at Ezoic, is you help publishers make their websites better. And how content websites traditionally work is they'll publish content, and it could be in the form of text, video, or audio. It could be a joke website, it could be a review website, it could be any information, and people will gravitate to that site. Google will push traffic to that site, or different social media platforms will push traffic to that site. And that traffic that jumps onto that website will either go through, and how that business can make money is they can click on an affiliate link, or they may click on an ad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's how content websites traditionally work, is they publish content, gain traffic, and they make money through. Those are the two main monetization strategies. Sometimes we've got different products or services or courses, like Helen is saying. That's what I'd say a content website is. And then we have an e-commerce website, where traditionally doesn't really lean towards SEO. How they lean towards gaining traffic and sales is they pay for traffic. So they'll normally do marketing on Facebook, Google, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. And normally they'll pay to get their traffic and try to convert that traffic into sales. And what an e-commerce website is it's selling physical products normally. Sometimes it can be digital products, but how they sell these physical products may be from, drop shipping, where somebody will purchase, the owner of that website will purchase that product for wholesale, and then they go away and sell it for retail. So somebody may come on the website and say they're selling, drink bottles, right? And somebody will come to the website, purchase a drink bottle, and then say I'm owning the website. I go away and I purchase this drink bottle for, say, $15 for wholesale off the drop shipper. I make that order, and then they package up that product, okay, who the customer may have bought that product for, say, $25 or say $30. I make a $15 margin on that drink bottle, and that supplier will package up that drink bottle and send it out to the customer for me. So I don't need a warehouse or do self-product distribution myself in a at my own home or garage or whatever it is. So that's drop shipping. And then you can have FBA, which is fulfillment by Amazon, or an order fulfillment agency, where I do buy bulk drink bottles from, say, a supplier in America. Traditionally, people will go with suppliers from China because they can get them a lot cheaper. They'll send that bulk shipment of drink bottles to Amazon warehouse. And when somebody purchases a drink bottle from Amazon, then that warehouse will grab that drink bottle and send it out to the customer for the business owner. And it's the same with order fulfillment agencies. Is exactly the same as what FBA does, fulfillment by Amazon, is you can purchase your products in bulk and send them to order fulfillment agency. And when you sell them off your website, that's linked to your website and they'll send out one of those products to the customer for you. So you don't need to be dealing with fulfillment of orders all the time by yourself. And then you've got self-product distribution where you can purchase them yourself, have a warehouse yourself, and have a staff, which I've got friends that do that as well. And then they send them out to the customers themselves. So that's e-commerce websites. And then you've got membership websites. And Helen, this is traditionally where people will have products or services or courses, and people will pay per month or per year or per quarter to get access to, say, their service or their course. Or it could even just be somebody buying content. For example, Netflix is a membership website where people pay per month to get access to some content. And it could even be a service like a SaaS website business, which is software as a service, like an accounting software or some sort of business software or tool that people may use, like SEMrush or Ahrefs as well. So they're the three main types of business models. So what I tell people is to whichever one they understand most and gravitate towards, that's probably the business they should be looking at buying before they get into due diligence. Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right. So do you ever sell websites? And if you do, how do you determine when a website is ready to be sold?
Sure. Should we go through this due diligence framework that I was mentioning before I answer that question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would help with that too. Yeah, let's do that.
Cool. How about I go through some website brokers that people can look at as well, because there's a few old ones, a few new ones. So now that we know which type of business model may be right for us, we go to these different platforms to look at these businesses. And then the next step would be due diligence.
Yes.
And then the next step would be thinking about selling or flipping or buying more for a portfolio. So here we go. Let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Hold on. Can you see that there?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So this is Investors Club, okay? Investors.club. And what they do is they sell predominantly content websites, which is the first business model I was talking about. And you can go on and you can become a member of their platform. I think it's $127 a month to get access to brand new listings that do pop up. But they also list websites for sale that haven't been sold within a 14-day period or a 2-week period. And they list those publicly. So people who are looking at buying sites that aren't members can look at those publicly. So we go away and click on buy, okay? And so as you can see, they've got a time amount when this listing will become available to the public, okay? Because I'm logged in here, but I don't, I might be logged in my non-members account. So you do need to become a free subscriber or a free member. But if you want to become an active member, then you can subscribe. But normally there will be these businesses that you can look at for sale. Okay, Sewing Machine Club, all these different types of businesses. And they'll tell you, I think it's how much the business is worth here, and then their net revenue, average monthly net revenue. Okay, so if you buy this one for say 70,000, you'll be making roughly around 2,500 per month. So as you can see, you can get quite a good return on your investment. Traditionally, when you buy a website business, you're making roughly around 25 or 20 to even 30% return on your investment per year, which was quite attractive to me, Sarah, when I was investing in the stock market, and also a big reason why I moved into this space. So that's just one place you can look at websites for sale. And then you've got Empire Flippers, and they have a bunch of different businesses for sale as well. Investors Club traditionally sell content websites. Empire Flippers sell a big range of sites, FBA sites, content websites, membership websites, all those three that I was talking about, and then sort of hybrid models as well.
Can you share the difference, and this is a question coming from Gavin in the chat, can you share the difference between using like Empire Flippers and something like Flippa?
Sure, that's such a good question, Gavin. So the difference would be that with a broker like Investors Club, Empire Flippers, and some of the other ones that I have here that I can share with you guys, is these bigger brokers have a business, and what they do is they have people apply to list their business for sale with their business, the brokers, and they vet those businesses. So I know Empire, I know all the owners of these different brokers. All of them have been on my podcast, and we've all talked about, you know, different things and education around buying sites. But what they all say, and predominantly Empire Flippers say, is that a huge range, about 2/3 of the businesses that apply to be sold by Empire Flippers, they are discarded and not put on the marketplace. The reason being is because they may not be very valuable businesses, and it's not a business that Empire Flippers wants to stand behind, and they don't want to sell a dud listing. And they facilitate the purchase between the old seller and the new buyer, and they answer all the questions for the person who's looking at purchasing the business. So they facilitate the whole purchase, right? It's just exactly the same as when you would be buying a house. You deal with a property broker rather than buying it directly off the seller. And the reason I love to go with website brokers is because they have their name and their brand at stake, and they don't want to sell dud listings and cheap, crappy businesses, because they're going to go down the gurgler and people aren't going to purchase from them, right? So they offer a really, really good service. And then when you go to places like Flippa or Exchange Marketplace, this is where the sellers can pay a small fee and they can list their business for sale and sell it themselves. Now, I know the CEO of Flippa. He's a great guy, and they're doing a lot to change what is being listed on Flippa and the trust levels between sellers and buyers. Although when people do list sites on these different marketplaces, then like Flippa or Exchange Marketplace, is they could sell any business. And a lot of the time people will sort of dodgy or bodge the numbers and tell people that, all right, this site's making X amount and it'll look very nice on paper. And if somebody doesn't know what they're doing throughout due diligence, as you can see online, there's a lot of people that have been scammed on Flippa, right? And this is in the past. They're cleaning that up now, which is great. But still, I don't suggest anybody go to Flippa until they really understand deep down how to do due diligence and are very confident in that with that process. Because if they go away and, try and just get this done and purchase one off Flippa, a lot of the times that, you're very susceptible to risk, and you don't know what the key red flags are. You may not know what you should actually be looking for, and to determine overall if it's a good investment or not. So I hope that helps, Gavin. So we've got FE International, which is another one, and then you got Quiet Light Brokerage as well. So there's some pretty big ones. So you got Flippa, and I also mentioned Exchange Marketplace. So once you know which business you're looking for and where to find them, and you find one, say off, this Grabgrass lawn, then you can go away and start to do due diligence. And throughout due diligence, you really need to know what questions to be asking the seller to find out the data and the information, which is going to help you determine if the business is a good investment or not. So Sarah asked me before we did this webinar to share some things with you guys, some tools and resources and stuff that I use. And here's one that I use with my clients. It's a very valuable tool. I've just updated it. It's the framework, due diligence framework. And this is the 2.0 version. So when people purchase, say, a due diligence course from me or become a member of my community, is they get this due diligence framework. And what this due diligence this is just information about me, blah, 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 blah. It's not really important for you guys to know. Let's just stick to the value here. So this framework helps you to ask the right questions that you need to be asking to get the right data and information to help you determine if a business is a good investment or not. So I don't actually know how many questions there are. Since changing it from the original version to the template 2.0, I've added an extra 15 questions. But there's quite a lot of questions in here. And then, so let's talk about the main types of due diligence. It's traffic due diligence, SEO due diligence you need to do. There's also financial due diligence. There's specific questions you need to ask the seller. And then there's competitive due diligence as well. And marketing due diligence. So traffic due diligence, go through and ask all of these different questions. SEO due diligence as well. Now, when you get to traffic, you can get access to Google Analytics. And the Google Analytics will give you all the information, all the answers to these questions that you have. Okay, so you can get access via the broker or the seller to their Google Analytics account. And then traffic, that's traffic. Next one is SEO. SEO, you'll need to go away and check. You can get some of this information from Google Analytics as well, but predominantly you may need to use different tools. Now, there's different paid tools and there's different free tools that you can use. The two paid ones is SEMrush, okay, and Ahrefs. So if you don't want to pay for a version of these, which I highly suggest you do, especially if you're purchasing a business, say over $30,000, you should really have a paid version because you can get better data and analytics. If not, you can use these different free versions that I have in the questions here. So different resources and different tools that I like people to check. So as you can see, there's different questions here that you need to be asking for the SEO. And then we move on to the financials, and that will ask you, different questions that you need to answer about the financials. So as you scroll through, there's the marketing due diligence and then the competitive due diligence, workload that's required, and then questions and answers that you should be getting from the broker. So this is a very valuable resource that people get from me when they purchase this how to conduct proper website due diligence training from me. It goes for about an hour and 20. It's very inexpensive. It's only $30. So they get this framework here, and then they get a 7-day trial with SEMrush. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check it out. If not, that's totally cool. But yeah, the really important thing is when you do come to purchasing a site, no matter what you do, you should learn due diligence. And it doesn't have to be through me. It's like, you can try and do this yourself. You can go the lone wolf status. I don't suggest it, but certainly getting help from somebody with due diligence is going to allow you to ensure that you make a better purchasing decision. Like my biggest goal for everybody that I teach is to not let them buy a lemon. Yeah, sorry. I thought that was really important, Sarah, to get that out of the way before we asked about selling those businesses.
Yeah. So now that we've kind of deep dived into, everything that you need to be checking off before, purchasing a site or realizing what site would be right for you to purchase. Do you sell your websites? And if so, what is kind of the best practice for going about that? Or how do we know when a website is ready to be sold?
Great question. Personally, I like to buy and hold websites because there's two different strategies. You've got the long-term buy and hold and sit on it. And then you've also got the flipping strategy. Now, we also need to consider that depending on the website that you buy and the niche that you buy will also depend on how long you should keep it. For example, if I'm buying a website that is, say, a fad type of website that's selling something that's in fashion or say, for example, I love surfing, right? And what's pretty in with surfing is these different types of surfboards, which are foil boards. And I'm not sure how long they're going to be around, but it's the same with SUPs, like stand-up paddle boards. They became very, very popular for a certain period of time. And if you owned a SUP business, then, your growth would have been quite good in that time frame that they first started coming out. Now they probably would be teetering off and to be kind of level and equal, right? It is an evergreen business model. I like
Mm-hmm.
to call different businesses non-evergreen or evergreen business models, or evergreen niches, sorry, because if you buy an evergreen niche, it's something, or an evergreen product is something that people are always going to purchase. Okay. If it's something that, say, what's something that is a fatty product or a non-evergreen niche? Say it may be like a kid's toy. I remember that's when I was going through school, there was like these Yoho Diablo type yo-yo things that you could purchase. That's a fad business that is going to be popular for a certain period of time, and then nobody's going to buy them again. So if you're going to buy a business like that, you want to know the life cycle of the business to determine when to scale it up and when to grow it. So you don't, try to sell it when they're not popular, because you're not going to get a great return on your investment then. What I like to do personally is I like to stick to evergreen niches so that I can hold it for the long term, because people are always going to purchase that product or service, and I can develop that product or service as I go and make it better and better and better. And I like to hold it for the long term. And then when that business is either not getting the attention that I need to give it or my team can give it, then I decide to sell it and reinvest that money into something that I do have more energy and time for.
Okay. Yeah. So it's more of like a bandwidth, basically.
For me personally, yes, it's definitely bandwidth. Now, there's also another reason that people may want to sell a business, and that may be that they're intelligent, their level of skill or intelligent bandwidth, you could call it, in that business or in that niche could hit a ceiling, could hit a glass roof. So for example, say I buy a content website and I know a bunch of on-page SEO. Now, I could buy that website and over a year implement all the on-page SEO skills that I have. And then afterwards, I don't know much about off-page SEO, like building backlinks and all that sort of stuff. So what may happen is I've hit a glass ceiling. I could try and learn how to do that, and I may stumble and fail and not really progress the business. So then I would know that I've hit my capacity in my skill set for that business, and it would be worth me selling. Otherwise, unless I grow it in a different way that I don't know how, then it's not going to be a great investment for me to hold on to. So that's something that people need to understand as well, is that once you hit a level of capacity and you can't scale the business further than what your level of skill is at the time, then it's worth selling.
Amazing. So I do have a fun question for you.
Cool.
What is the worst website investment you've made, and what has been the best? And maybe you can
Fun, or you
explain
just
a little bit
press
why.
it? Fun, or you just like shoving the knife in and turning it?
Both.
Yeah. The first business I bought was not the best investment. It was a good investment, but I never had a due diligence framework. I never had anybody teach me how to do due diligence. Something funny is I bought it off Flipper, which I suggest nobody does. So guys, I've made all these mistakes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I bought this business and it was a membership business model, and people could pay to become, to get access to a database of wholesalers and suppliers if they wanted to start or were growing their drop shipping business, because I was quite into drop shipping at the time. Yeah. And so I bought this business. It's a big, massive database in the US of all these different wholesalers and suppliers that people could use. And when I bought it, I started growing it and it was already making money. It was making money. I achieved a 30% return on my investment for the first 3 years, which is great. But the big thing that I didn't realize and didn't know to check was how current that database was and how valuable those businesses that were listed in the database were. So after a few months, I realized that people were joining my membership site that I bought to get access to these suppliers. And they were saying that a bunch of them were either not in business or not very good suppliers or drop shippers. So I bought a database that was old and decaying and didn't wasn't as valuable as I thought it was when
Mhm.
I first purchased it, because I was very blinded by the numbers, and I wouldn't say it was an emotional decision. Most people who buy their first website businesses do buy it based on emotions.
Mhm.
And there were some emotions attached that I saw how much the business cost, how much it was for sale, and then how much it was making per month. And I just saw dollar signs. And also
Got
saw how
excited.
much work was required. And it wasn't much work. And I was like, this is too good. Like, I need to get into this. And I thought I checked everything except that one thing. And that one thing that we don't check, or we don't know to check, can be the difference between buying a lemon and buying something that's a good investment.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's probably one of the worst investments I've made, and I've learned from it.
And then going off of that, what would you say has been the best investment that you've made thus far in your career?
I'd love to say a business, but it's not. It's really the best investment I've ever made is in my education. Yeah. There has been if you guys probably want the answer of the business, the best business I bought a suit business, and I achieved 100% return on my investment in the first 7 months. And I decreased the workload by 50% by putting in a system, a good process and a good system using some AI stuff. And yeah, that was a great investment, and I still hold that investment today. And yeah, but I think what's more important is not just the business, because if I invest in my education, I can replicate that again.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, it's not a game of luck. So yeah, investing in your education, knowing that you can make good investments in the future. All
Yeah, for
right.
sure. And that can be like towards purchasing a business, or even if you own one now, like some people that are on the webinar may own one. It should be, where are you hitting the ceiling, the glass ceiling in your business? Where can you either get the education there and then take it past that glass ceiling? And
Right.
you're not just going to be able to use that for the business that you're in in this particular time, but again with another business that you're in. So I think it's the second and third order consequences of investing in your education are huge.
So that is all of my questions for you. So I do want to jump over to
Cool.
the chat and the Q&A so we can answer some questions. It looks like we have two, but if anybody has any questions for Jaryd, you can throw them in right now. So we have a question from Helen. Do you ever buy expired domains and bring back the content? That's a good question.
That is a great question. Personally, no, I do not. Uh, I do know, and I do have friends that do this, and you can pick up some great deals. I think I saw who was I. So there's Richard Patey as well, Sarah.
I do, yes.
Yeah, and Richard Patey is a great guy, and he has a newsletter that comes out every week as a
Mhm.
paid one and a free one. And he was just
Yeah.
talking about Cambridge Analytica, which is a domain. I'm sure a lot of people know what Cambridge Analytica is now
Mhm.
through Netflix and everything that's going on with Facebook
Mhm.
and political stuff. We won't get into that, but that domain that domain has, they're not using that domain and it's expired, and it could have a negative connotation to it. It could have a bit of a negative thing around that. But if you understood the value of that domain, you could purchase that and build a business off the back of that. And that's what Richard was talking about. Now, I have talked to people who own domain marketplaces that sell just domains. Uh, and it's a great strategy. Personally, the biggest reason that I don't do it, Helen, is because it's kind of like a startup for me,
Mhm.
and I'm still gonna face that 90% startup failure rate. Obviously, that decreases with the more knowledge and skills that you have in the industry. Although I still feel I'm going to get a better return on my dollar investment and my time investment by buying something or a website business that has some legs, personally for me. But
All right.
that's definitely a good option. Yeah, great question. Thank you.
Nice. Okay, so jumping back over to the Q&A. Which keyword tool do you prefer among the two you mentioned, SEMrush or Ahrefs?
It's a good question. It's such a tough one.
If you had to
and
pick one.
they're both good, and they're
I
both
agree with that.
competitors. Look, I'd have to say, it's so hard. Get both.
They are both really good. That is a really hard question.
I think it really depends on. It's so hard. I don't know. I like Ahrefs because, I mean, these Ahrefs is good. I like Ahrefs.
I can tell that that's like with your gut, that's what you want to go for. That's what you want
Yeah,
to say.
we'll go with that.
Anonymous attendee, he added LOL. He saw you struggle with that question, but the answer is
Thanks.
Ahrefs.
Thanks, Anonymous.
And he also said thank you. He, she, sorry. All right, so jumping up, we have Jake Harrington. He asks, do you have any tips for how you and your team manage and grow all of these different sites?
Yeah, so where to start with this one? What do you mean? Like, is it by owning multiple? So it also it's a hard one to answer, but I'll try answer it in two different scenarios. So let's say you are just starting out and you want to buy a portfolio of websites.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'd suggest you do is you buy your first one, understand how it works, and set up good, hire some staff and get them to set up good processes and systems with you so you can remove yourself from the business and work on the business, not in the business, and have your team do that. And say we're going to use a content site because we're with Ezoic here and that's what you guys focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, say I buy a content site that is an affiliate site. I need to produce content, needs to be great, needs to be SEO worthy, needs to get ranked. I would suggest that I have somebody who writes that content, edits that content, and publishes that content for me. So I'd hire somebody or maybe a couple of people to do that, depending on how much I want to publish. And I would get them to go away and create that and post it. And then maybe I would have somebody who is going to help me have a better user experience on my site and, better sort of on-page SEO. And what I'd hire is somebody to go away and use Ezoic and use the data and the feedback that Ezoic uses to test and measure what's working on the site and what's not working on the site to get a better SEO profile. That would in turn help me grow my revenue on my site. So I'd have not two different teams, one team, but two different areas on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I was really focusing on, say, a different search engine or a different platform to get more traffic, I'd have another sort of area or people in the team that could help me with some getting email subscribers so I can reduce my risk of just relying on just search engine traffic. So I can build a good email list and also have that same person work on, social media marketing as well. Or, SEO with Pinterest. So I'd have that within my team. And then once I have all of that sorted, because as the new owner, I'd be doing all of that under the one umbrella myself until I realize, all right, I need this person. And I would just suggest hiring one person at a time, unless you have the funds to float the business and the employees for a number of months until you start getting a return. And then once that's built out and you can work on the business and have maybe 1 to 2 calls a week with the team, I'd suggest maybe one max. Then you can look at purchasing another business and replicating that. Okay. And that way, say you have 3 businesses, you could spend 3 hours a week on those 3 different businesses. And that's what I would suggest in how you go about scaling a portfolio with scaling a team. Now, how I do it is I started that way, and now I see that what's important in my business and what's not important in my business. And I either hire consultants or people that can help me take over. Like I may create a new task that I'm going down a different track with my business, and I create a new marketing channel, right? So I might hire somebody to do YouTube ads or Facebook ads for me. And then I start creating a process and system around that. And I'll either take away from what's not working to what is working better with the team and put them into that resource, or remove those people that aren't skilled in that area and it's not working as well, and hire people that are more skilled in that area that we're focusing on. So does that answer your question? I think it was Jake. I hope that helps. That was a long-winded answer, so sorry if it was too long.
I thought it was a great answer. All right, going down to the next question. What is the range you can earn from a minimum of 10,000 views for a business blog?
That's a good question.
This question is it really does vary, the answer to it.
Yeah, so it's not about how much traffic you get. It's about the quality of traffic you get. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that bugs me about social media influencers and people who are just going for a big number volume. So I'm more quality over quantity, mm-hmm. because you could have 5,000 monthly viewers and have a lower bounce rate and a higher time on page. So it's a better user experience, and you could make so much more money from your ads, which you'd back this up, Sarah. So you could make more money with less traffic. And it's the same with what you guys talk about at Azoic, is that you can make more money with less ads as well, mm-hmm. in certain situations. So yeah. I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I would like to, although, it also depends on which advertising network you're going to work with, right? Like if you're going to go with Google ads. And so, that's what I'm going to say. So I'm not going to give you a definitive answer, because I don't want people going, oh, Jaryd said I could make this much money and I'm only making X amount.
We're going to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
All right. So we are running out of time. I will just get to this one last question. Jaryd, do you encourage sponsor posts in blogs? When it comes to if website event like buying or selling, what's your take on that?
Do I pay for so say that again, do I incur them? As in,
do you encourage sponsor posts in the blogs or websites? So I am assuming this person is asking, when you're going through the due diligence, of a website. If this is something that really matters in the buying process or the selling process, I'm not sure.
Let's talk about it as a whole, as not just buying a business as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a growth strategy, whether you buy the business or you own a business. So it depends. Again, it really depends on the business or the website that you're using or paying to get a link. So basically the main reason people do this is they want to create content so they can get a link back to their site. Now, if the site has a good SEO profile, then I encourage it. Mm-hmm. And if it's a valuable investment, of course I encourage it. If you're going for the throw spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks approach, and going for quantity over quality, then I don't believe it's the best, because you may just spend so much time trying to get, you write a whole bunch of articles, and you're going to create non-valuable articles when you're going to say try create 100 of them, unless you put a lot of time and a lot of money into them yourself, and it takes a while to do so. I'd suggest going away and really finding the best businesses or websites in your niche with the best SEO profile and creating them for them. So to answer your question, yes, I encourage it, so long as it's going to be a good return on your investment.
I agree. All right. We did go a few minutes over, but thank you for everyone who sent in questions. Jaryd, thank you so much for everything that you shared with us today.
Thank you for having me. And I hope everybody got a bunch of value. If you guys have any questions, then you can just reach me on my website if there's links here or whatever, or if not, just
Yeah,
type my name
yeah,
into
yeah.
Google.
Yes, yeah. So it'll be on the Azoic education page. You can find Jaryd's website. It's buyingonlinebusinesses.com, and you can check out his podcast and tons of content, really. So thank you so much for everything that you shared. And thank you, everyone, for attending this webinar.
Thanks, guys. Thanks,
All right.
Sarah.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
See ya.